So on the road to 1.0, during the V0 days, you had a pretty unique way to fund the project. On the website, you had a bunch of examples with all your code hike code, but some of them were locked behind like support
Mm.
tiers. So can you explain that methodology to us and how it went?
Yeah, that was like I was experimenting like all the open source project, trying to
Mhm.
find a way to make it sustainable. Um, and I tried that like mostly to bring attention to people that hey, this project needs sponsors, because I I also leave it like if you open the DevTools, you can like unlock the 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 example from the DevTools, and also the examples were open source too. So it wasn't like a real paywall, but it was good to bring like attention to people that hey, uh, maybe you can sponsor this thing, and also like give some credit. Like each example has like five people that sponsor the exam the project, and I use it to unlock that example, and it worked. But I also realized that you don't you don't make a project sustainable with just uh, people sponsoring it. You need like companies and like bigger bigger sponsorships, because if it's just people sponsoring with $10 each, you need like a lot of people. Uh, so yeah, but yeah, it was fun. I I also got one issue in GitHub accusing me of of killing people or something like that, because it's every time you put you hide an example, you are taking time from people, and if you sum all the time that people spend you kill like I don't know. uh yeah, people are very entitled sometimes.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's the unfortunate thing about open source is that I think people get so used to having something free when you like dare say, "Oh wait, I need to make a living, and I spend a lot of time on this, and I like working on it, and I would like to keep working on it. Please help me." They're just like, "No."
Yeah, people. I don't care about people get angry with that type of approach. I saw that there are a couple more projects now doing that too, and I saw in Twitter like people complaining about that, and it's so frustrating.
So, how's the transition to the new funding model? So you've got like corporate sponsors now. Is that going well? Do you feel like the project's more sustainable?
Yeah, I right now I have only one corporate sponsor. I have to have more, but now I'm focusing more on since I think the project is in a good state now. I'm focusing more on working with companies to help them adopt Coldhype. And since I'm the leading expert in Coldhype, can charge uh, good money for that. So I'm taking that approach now. And it's also very useful for me to like for dog fooding, like to using the library. And so far it's like I didn't have to make too much changes to use it. So that's why I think it's in a good state. I still have to improve like the dogs, like always the dogs, and maybe some more exposure or marketing or go to conferences and all that part of a project that also takes time.
So, in creating Code Hike, you've created a whole bunch of components of varying complexity. I was flipping through the docs, and there's so many that like speak to me, like the transpile code block. Amazing. You write TypeScript, it shows TypeScript and JavaScript. Super cool. Of the components you've created so far, which has been your favorite, and which one's been the hardest to create?
Good question. Uh, One of my favorites is it's kind of small, and a small thing is one that folds inline code. Like I use it for specifically for Tailwind classes. When you have a code sample with a very long Tailwind class, so I use that with a regular expression, an annotation with a regular expression, and it's an annotation that folds that regular expression into like three dots, and when you click it, it expands. but it makes the code blocks much like cleaner. And well, also tooltips. Like I think tooltips are so good at providing information on demand. And and with code hack, you can put them anywhere. You can put it in the text or you can put it in the code, and you can put code inside the tooltip. So it's really useful. And then there's some components that compare like two things. Like it may be code and code. Like for example, I know you have a JavaScript and TypeScript, and you want to match things. And when you hover one side, it shows you like it highlights the other side that correspond with what you're hovering. And that's good. Not only in code in both sides, but code and the demo in the other side. It's it's very useful too, and I think it helps a lot with very complex things that when you're trying to explain complex things and having it like the option to like interact and show you the mapping between the two sides is very useful. Which one is the hardest? I don't know.
The whole thing.
Maybe uh, we used to have in before V1 some code blocks that also run like the demo with using something like web containers or Sandpack, which is another thing that they can run uh, things in the browser, and that was hard because of the integration, mostly with Sandpack or web containers. And but I don't even have an example now with V1. Something I'm missing. But it's also because it's very like specific to a particular like thing you are doing, so it's hard to put generic examples.
So it sounds like Code Hike is pretty stable. You've kind of got like a lot of the things that you wanted to do with it done. You're sort of working with companies now to help integrate it. But it sort of begs the question is like, I'm sure you still have like a list of things that you really, really want to do. And like, what does that look like for you? What does the future of Code Hike look like?
Well, it's mostly around code hack, not really in code hack. There are a few things that I still want to add to code hack, to code hack. But yeah, they are small things. But I really want to work on showing people like the power of code hack. So that means building like examples or working with companies to help them build the things. And so most of my to-do list is in that part of the but also there's tooling that I would love to do, because with now that you have like structure markdown, you can have like schemas too, right? So you can use a pseudo schema and define the the shape of the content, and when you have like something that isn't the shape you want, you can throw an error. But you could also use that schema for better authoring experience. Uh, right now, as I say, I use the outline of VS Code a lot to navigate. But if I already know the schema of the content, it could be much easier to navigate and to write the content and to edit it. But I'm realistic, and I know that won't happen in the near future. But that is something that I would love to have.